So I'm out here in the garage tonight prepping bikes for tomorrow's dirt bike race for my kid and I have parts here for the Aggressor, so I figured I'd just take a couple minutes and throw them on. I got bars that are 780 mil wide. They're the same bend as the stock bars, they're just 780 millimeters wide. I also got the Microshift Acolyte clutched derailleur, hoping that makes a big difference on all that noise back there with that current, the stock derailleur. And I got some cable ends just to crimp back on so it doesn't get frayed. The bars I got are the Wake Comp Series aluminum, and like I said, same bend and everything as the stock bars. Are just 780 mils wide. These bars are that easily. So as a comparison, hopefully that's how much wider they are. I just feel like I'll get more control out of the width, but time will tell. All right, so the bars are on. Those are quite a bit wider. I still need to adjust those levers. They're too far down, but those bars look way better. Time will tell, but I have a feeling I'm gonna feel more under control with those wider bars. Pro, I got a Microshift Acolyte 8-speed derailleur with a clutch. I think that should eliminate a lot of that terrible chain noise while I'm riding. It has a ton more tension on it than the stock one. I had to get some cable ends. When you look on Amazon, I think this is the smallest quantity you can buy, 48. So it is what it is for a couple bucks. And then I got a SRAM Master Link. Just a real quick rundown on how I got that quick link. You can kind of see, if you're not familiar, you kind of put them together and it's wider on the side. And I just took those little snap ring pliers and put them up inside the link and squeezed, and it clipped them into place. The guy at the bike shop told me they're a pain in the butt, and he's not wrong, but they're really not hard if you have the right tool. Okay, so the derailleur's on. I don't necessarily love the angle of that cable, but I'm gonna leave the stock cable for now, just because that's what I have. I'm leaving for a camping trip tomorrow. I'm taking the bike, so this is going. This is gonna have to be what it is. Now time to adjust. With my very little lack of knowledge, the only thing I can think of is, now I'm in the highest gear, so I want my trolley wheels to be lined up with my highest gear on the sprocket. Or the cassette, rather, I think. And right now it's not. I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of kicked to the right. So I gotta adjust that with the high, low tension screws and get that lined up so that I have all my gears. Okay, so I just took it for a ride. Adjusting the limit screws to get it to where it's lined up didn't get me all my gears. Now, the Acolyte derailleur, they say you have to use the Acolyte shifter. I do not have the Acolyte shifter. I wanted to see if it would function on the stock shifter. It does not. The only thing I can assume is that shifter doesn't pull / push far enough to get that thing to shift. Now, I was just out there bunny hopping and jumping and smashing the back end as much as I could. Way less noise than the stock derailleur. There's a ton more tension on this derailleur, like a ton compared to the last one, the stock one. So that is a big win. I just need to get the correct shifter. All right, so before I was able to finish editing that video, the Microshift Acolyte 8-speed shifter came in. It was next day apparently, or 2 days. So I'm gonna put it on. I rode about 20 miles this weekend with only 4 gears and it wasn't great. But the shifter comes with a cable. So this should be pretty cut and dry to change and change out this stock Microshift shifter. Now, the Acolyte shifter has a pointer finger trigger and a thumb trigger. So directionally, rather than being on the same side, one's gonna be in the front of the bar. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so as far as installing the actual shifter, pretty easy. So your downshifts will be thumb, your upshifts will be pointer finger. Looks pretty self-explanatory. I would say maybe that does throw the cable a little further when you actuate it. We'll see. But it's easy to feed that cable down here. They give you plenty of it. So I'll get it hooked in here and probably take it for a test ride before I cut too much off that cable. All right, so it's on there. I'm gonna have to cut a little bit of that off there before I test ride it, but I'm gonna take it for a test ride and see how it shifts. All right, so first ride, I have all but 1 gear. I just can't quite get it in the highest gear. So I think I need to just put a little more tension on that cable when I tighten it down, and that should do it. So, I don't know if you can tell, oh yeah. So I have the headlight on there because it's 10 o'clock at night and I wanted to test this thing out. So I just did 0.6 of a mile up and down in front of my house, trying to see if I had all 8 gears, which I do. What ended up being the issue, I couldn't get it to adjust correctly with my adjustments, my limit adjustments and the main adjustment there. However, what I ended up finding out or figuring out was my derailleur hanger was bent, which I've had issues with the stock derailleur for the last couple weeks after I hit it pretty hard on a stump. So I knew it was bent. I had lost the ability to get into first gear with the old one. I just thought I bent the derailleur. Turns out I bent the derailleur and the hanger, or at least the hanger. So now by pulling back on the hanger, thankfully we got it, straightened the hanger, adjusted the derailleur, which somebody's gonna ask me, how do you adjust the derailleur? I just played with the low limit and the high limit adjustments, both on the high, obviously when I was in the highest gear, and the low limit when I was in lowest gear. And then I adjusted my in and out. I don't know what that adjustment's called, to be fair. I adjusted that until everything functioned and it didn't hang, you know, like you can hear them trying to shift, but they're not shifting. Yeah, so I got it to where it needed to be by straightening that derailleur and a couple quick adjustments. First time ever adjusting one. It's not rocket science. I would not hesitate to tell anybody to give it a try. There's, nothing really terrible you can do. Now, so far, just riding on the road, I am not a fan of my upshifts being on the pointer finger. I want to be able to grip that whole grip, and it's kind of in the way of my pointer finger. So I guess maybe I can just adjust out on the grip. I don't know. And it seems like you really have to push that shifter, but maybe it'll break in, maybe we'll get used to it. The biggest thing is I don't care if I like the shifter as much as I care about the clutch derailleur. And I know there are hundreds of better options out there quality-wise and maybe performance-wise, but functionality for a $35 derailleur and a $15 shifter, 50 bucks gets you away from that crappy derailleur and beating the crap out of your chainstay. I'll take it.